All right, so this is just a quick intro to how to use state in React.js. And the one thing you need to do is you need to make an ES6 class, just like we have here. And we use our create React app. Um, and all you have to do is make a constructor, just like that. And inside this constructor, we're going to go ahead and call super. And then here, this is how you set the initial state of your component. So you would say this dot state equals something like, let's say header. And we're going to say this is the state. All right, and then down here, I'm just going to put it in the section tag. We're going to go ahead and print out header, just like that, like we do in React. And we're going to get that header from our states. So we say this dot state right here. Boom, and if I save my application and I go to it, you'll see that this is state. Perfect. Easy enough, right? So now, let's say we want to do something a little bit more complicated. We want to make this a little bit dynamic. We want to change the state. So that's when we go to something like my button.js that I have here. And we don't have our state yet, so we're going to go ahead and make that. We're going to make a constructor, just like we did before. And we're going to go ahead and call super and say this dot state equals, and we're going to say on. Let's say the button's on, and it's going to be false at the beginning. Now, right down here, we have something checks, and that is going to be on or off, so false or true, that we're going to get from our state. So let's go ahead and get that const on, and this dot state. Perfect, just like that. And then now we have our button. So if we go ahead to our app.js and we import our button, just like that, and then we go to our application, we should see, if I put it inside our app.js, let's go ahead and do that, button. We should see a nice little button, just like that. Boom, there's our button. Can't click it because the value's not changing here. So now let's go ahead and make that value change. And the way you change state in React.js is you just say this dot set state, just like that. And then you pass into the state either a function that would have previous state and props passed in as arguments, or you just pass in an object. And I'm just going to pass in the object to show you that way. So we're going to say on now equals e.targets.checked. Right, so now if we go back to our application, you'll see that when I click this, it changes on or off. And I can use that state anywhere in the application. So maybe I want to use it up here and say if it's on, go ahead and print out we, and if it's off, print out no. And you'll see that when I click it, it says we or no. So now there's another way that we can use state, and that is, of course, to use it inside of forms to keep the form values checked. So we could just take the form itself and use that to get the values, or we could keep it in the state. So right here I have a nice little form that says on submit, do the handle submit right here. And then we have our label for email and our password. And you'll see that I'm already doing the on change this dot set state and setting the email right up here, and then setting the password right up here. So let's go ahead and import that. So we import sign in, and then the only thing that sign in really wants is a prop called disabled, and we're going to make that equal to true or false for now. So we're going to say sign in, and I'm going to say disabled equals false. Right, so now I go back to our application, and you'll see that now we have a nice little state going on there and a nice little state going on there because I printed that state out in a nice sign-in form. So now we want to do something with those things. So let's say we just want a console.log. Usually we would go to an authentication area or something, we'd do a fetch or something like that, but we're just going to get that state. So right up here, we're going to say const email password inside this dot state, and we're going to print out email and password, just like that. we're also going to go ahead and set a timeout that will say that we're submitting to this, because we do have something else in our state called submitting that's equal to false. So right here we're going to say this dot set state, and this is the other way you can do it, is using a function that takes the previous state and the props, and then instead of using a state that we get from like up here, we can just go ahead and return that new object, and we're going to say that submitting is equal to false. We could also say that submitting is equal to previous state dot submitting, but not, and that could also work. The big thing about this is that you don't want to change the state using this dot state, because this dot state could have changed. The state of this could have changed before, meaning that sometimes the state updates that you use when you say set state may be asynchronous, meaning that React may batch multiple set state calls into a single update for performance reasons. So you would use this function so that you know that the state is the same, or you could just take it from here by saying submitting right up there. But I'm going to use this preview that submitting. And then I'm also going to empty out the email and empty out the password. Just like that. And we're going to make it happen after 2 seconds. So now, whenever I submit is going to be set to true, which I haven't done yet. So let's go ahead and do that. This dot set state, and we're going to say submitting is equal to true. And then when that is true, it's going to say submitting, because we say if submitting, say submitting, otherwise say send. So we go back to our application here, and we say this is an email, and then we say password, and we press enter, and there you go. We got submitting, we got our console.log, and then we empty our field after 2 seconds. So now that is pretty much what state is and how to use it. It's a nice little crash course about it. If you have any questions, just definitely let me know. And if you have any suggestions of what I should do next, I will definitely go ahead and put that in my list of things to do. I am listening to you guys. I see your comments, and I am ready to do all the things that you're asking. So go ahead. Thanks for coding with me, and you guys have a good one.